Forget everything you know, because it's all about to change. The version 42 update is said to be the biggest update to date, and man, Epic weren't wrong. It's almost like a brand new game, and it feels like one too. I want to just give my overall thoughts about how I feel about the game, the changes they've made, and what my experience was like in the PTR, which was basically a really early version of 42. I'll have a starter guide out for those of you that want help understanding what exactly is going on. Initially, I hated version 42, I'm not gonna lie. It's a big change, and if you thought Legacy to Monolith was a big change, this one is going to blow you away. Okay, so I like the card system in the way that the cards have such cool effects, and playing around with them has been quite a lot of fun. Cards actually feel impactful, and you'll spend a lot of time theory crafting to see which cards synergize well together, only put them into practice and then find they're either incredibly strong or just shit. But it's a fun learning process. The problem that I see is I found cards to be more impactful than actual hero abilities, and this could be a balance issue because Epic did admit that the balance was out of whack for the early version that I played. A lot of cards were super strong and others were just straight up broken. Think Greystone's 700 DPS aura a second. I was literally just running around 1v5, and of course Epic are going to fix this. The second change is to attack speed. Everything attacks incredibly fast, and I'm not sure that I like it. It feels just overwhelming how fast things attack. They essentially nerfed power, not numerically, but with the new card system, and then said, hey, you do less damage per hit, but you can hit more per second. So that increased the time to kill in the early game because, well, you can't really build early game power. But I feel it reduced the time to kill in the late game, which is actually going against what Epic told me. See, they told me the time to kill has gone up, and yes it has in the early game, but mid and late game you can literally get 2-shot, and because those shots happen now within a space of less than a second, you can blink and you're dead. Also, with you being able to attack so fast, there's not really any outplay mechanic. If you miss a shot, oh well, you can fire instantly again. And one thing I loved about the 3D aspect of Paragon was dodging auto attacks and outplaying a ranger. Again, this just comes down to balance, but I still feel like the attack speed is the main issue here. Attacking this fast just seems unnatural, and because buying points into agility awards you attack speed as well as card effects and leveling, soon you'll hit the cap extremely fast, which has been increased. I did voice my concern to Epic, and the majority of us in the PTR agreed that attack speed was too fast, but we're a small group and it's fair for Epic to let you guys test it out and then tone it down if need be. The gameplay is a lot more action packed, so Epic have definitely achieved what they set out to. The problem is the game can often feel like it's passing you by at 1,000 miles an hour. Match times have been reduced significantly, but death timers are pretty long, and this is where the main issue lies. Since death timers in Paragon scale off a new formula but still factor in your current level, your level becomes the biggest issue here, especially for an offlaner. As the offlaner you soak up XP, meaning you're usually at least 1 or 2 levels above everyone else, and there's cards that also allow you to level even faster. So if you die, you spend a longer time waiting to respawn, and at the moment it's too long, especially in the early parts of the game. So the enemy could very easily take a tier 1, a tier 2, and an inhibitor from just 1 or 2 picks, so I'm hoping that they get adjusted before you guys play. It's not only the offlaner that has this problem. At 15 minutes into the game, anyone on the map can be spending close to 75 seconds out of the game, which is way too long in my opinion. This isn't only bad from the fact that you can lose objectives really fast, but no one wants to play a game only to spend excessive amounts of time in spectator mode. It also leads to stagnated games at higher levels because no one player wants to make a mistake that costs their team the game, and so everyone plays incredibly passive. Overall though, the gameplay bar the attack speed is definitely more enjoyable, but the match as a whole is not as enjoyable as it was before. I believe with some tweaks though, it can be a lot better. I will stress this could be because we were in such a small group of players on a PTR of all skill levels, but man, it just felt like a big team deathmatch. And this is because minion waves are so big and death timers are so long that if you group up as 5, kill say the offlaner, you can push straight to their inhibitor and potentially take it within the first 10 minutes of the game. It's a big change. The more I've played on the PTR, the more I've started to come around and enjoy the game. With regards to the death ball, it's something people usually do because you're unfamiliar with the game, and once you learn the card system, the gem system, people will start to see the value in the lanes. Epic did say it would take time to adjust. I didn't believe them, and I've had to come back and add this last paragraph to this video because my opinion has changed over time. There are definitely problems, but ones that can be solved. However, the new card system and gem system is definitely a step in the right direction. Now it's up to Epic to solve the attack speed, overall match flow and balance of the game. I'd just like to point out that the patch we played was a very early version of 42. It's most likely going to be balanced a lot differently and fairly with less overpowered cards and heroes. There are going to be things that change between the time I played and when you play it, so some of what I said might not be a big problem when we finally get our hands on version 42 on the 8th of August. I'd like to talk about some of the heroes in version 42 since this patch definitely rebalanced a lot of them. The first one you're all probably wanting to know about is this man right here, Iggy and Scorch. Right away I can tell you he is definitely back. This guy is a monster and is now a viable pick. His kit has been completely reworked and it feels like you can actually have an impact on the game like you did way back in Legacy. There was a lot of talk around Iggy due to the anticipation of this long awaited rework. Some people felt that Iggy was too strong, but I think he's only strong when you don't know how to deal with him. There are cards in the game that make Iggy and other casters for that matter very easy to deal with, but the cards are balanced around their cooldowns, which gives casters their chance to strike as well. I'll have a full Iggy gameplay up following this video, so definitely check that out for a look at version 42 gameplay and his rework. Now I mentioned earlier in the video the balance is out of whack, and honestly the heroes aren't that badly balanced. Sure, there's some tweaks, but nothing that I really felt was broken until I came across Countess. I will say though, they did buff Countess during the PTR because she felt pretty weak initially, so hopefully when she goes live they tone down the buff a bit, but man, she was just insane. I think my build for her means you can pretty much carry the game because you can buff her ability damage by 25% with certain cards, and her ultimate does roughly 600 base damage, which means you can get 750 damage from your ultimate minimum without even adding any power on. Your E does 600 damage, and I'm not even talking about late in the game, I'm talking about after 18,000 gold. I did record a PvP gameplay of me playing Countess, so keep an eye out for that as it will be out in the next few days. Heroes in general, however, felt pretty good. An offlaner can bully a carry, as he should, but he is given even more tools now to do so. If you leave the carry alone with the offlaner, you might find he dies a few times if caught out of position. Casters will struggle with wave clearing late game, but really pack a punch early to mid, and some casters like Countess and Iggy don't really drop off. I can't comment too much on the others since I didn't play them that much. Muriel is definitely back and a viable pick. In fact, I saw her being run mid with some crazy card combinations. Most, if not all, the junglers fared pretty well. I found Sevrog and Grux to stand out in particular, but Rampage is also a beast as well. Chimera did okay, but again, because he drops off late game, having a Grux or Sevrog or Rampage I found was a lot better. These are my thoughts on what I played, and I hope that you guys give it at least 5 to 10 games before judging the game. Go wild, experiment with crazy combinations because there are definitely loads. Hope you enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button if you did, subscribe for all the latest Paragon content, and until next time guys, peace.